Hi everybody, Greg from Greg's Inferno Exploring, and I got permission to go to a hotel in Zoar Village. I had an intro already done, but when I got there was a change. I ended up doing a tour of the whole village. So I didn't get the whole tour on video, but I do have most of it. Most of it being mainly towards how they started the village and how the hotel came about and all that. But there is a necrophonic session in the hotel that I did, along with Jack Frost and Dolls Dolly. They both have YouTube channels, and I will put their links in the description below. And if you see or hear anything, please comment below. Let me know what you find. Thanks. Enjoy.
They came from Württemberg, Germany, this group, okay, and they're right here. Now, in the early 1800s, the German government came down to Württemberg and says, people, you have to fight because Napoleon's coming across Europe. We need you to fight for us, okay? They were a group of separatists that broke off from the Lutheran Church. The Lutheran Church, as we know, broke off from the Catholic Church because the Lutherans thought the Catholics were selling people's way into heaven, okay? The separatists broke off from the Lutheran Church because they thought they were just not as bad, but just as bad. So they just want to have a personal relationship with God. Okay?
Right.
So they come down there and they go, well, you have to fight for us. They go, no, we're not going to fight. We're pacifists. We will not lift a rifle to friend or foe, and we will not send our children to your schools. The German government says, well then, screw it. You guys are going to prison. They took all these people, 120 people, and put them in prison, okay, for 7 years. 7 years later, they let him out of prison. They go back down to Württemberg, and now Napoleon is now the emperor. Okay, he's conquered all the lands. He comes floating through Germany. These people would not bow down to him or treat him any differently than a regular person. The German government says, he is our emperor. He's our king. He's kind of like, if you want to call it a god. They go, nope, you don't believe in that. So the people in the German government says, guys, you're out of here. They had to sell off all their possessions, and they went to Amsterdam, went to the Netherlands, took a boat, okay, put on the trunks and stuff in here, went across the ocean. Took them a couple of months because they got lost a few times. Didn't lose too many people, maybe 2 or 3. Ended up in Halifax, okay, came down to Philadelphia, walked from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, met the Quakers in Pittsburgh, and the people in Pittsburgh says, nice seeing you. You can stay for a day or two. We'll take a few of you guys because you want to buy tools, you have some money to spend. We'll lend you money, go to Zoar. And that's where they met a land agent from the American Revolution generals who were selling the land here, and they bought 2 miles in each direction here, okay? About 125 people, two-thirds women, 1/3 men. So what happens? Mr. Beimler, the spiritual leader and the business person, gets the people here, all woods, okay? And he says, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Smith or Mr. Jones, we're gonna divvy up the land in acres, okay? We're gonna make farms. You two can go farm the land, do the best you can. We're gonna get you a cow, we're gonna get you a few chickens, whatever. Farm the land. At the end of the year, after the crops come in, you guys feed yourselves, help the community, and we'll send all the rest of our overproduce up to Cleveland, and we'll make money. Well, at the end of the year, they were starved to death, okay? Nothing came in for them. As a matter of fact, I'm told that the Indians even left them because the Delaware Indians who tried to show them how to plant corn wasn't working. So they said, we're out of here. So they left. So now Mr. Beimler calls everybody down here and says, we need a plan, guys, because we're not going to make it another year. It will not happen. Give me a plan. So after much debate, he says, well, let's make it a commune. All for one and one for all. Not because of politics, not because of religion, because of survival. That's how they did it, okay? So with that, all the boundaries of all the farmlands were taken down. All the cows went to the dairy. All the chickens went to the hen house, okay? And everybody now came here. So they decided that, okay, now, every morning, let's go over. I hope they can see me.
Oh yeah, I can see.
Yep.
Every morning, they would blow this horn, okay? And all the people of the village came down here and they were handed a ticket. Their ticket says, you go help the baker, you go help in the blacksmith shop, you go work in the fields. So they're all working together. They all had different chores. Now, there were still 4 or 5 professions. If you were a blacksmith, if you were the baker, if you were the carriage maker, okay, and the tinsmith, you had that job. But every day you got a different, okay, people to come and help you. So basically, if you were a professional, you had that job. The funny thing about this horn is that it worked every day until Christmas, 3 years later, and it broke on Christmas Day. And no one showed up for work.
Oh my gosh.
The next day, they started ringing the bell back in the room that we'll see, and everybody came. But every Christmas, no one showed up for work. It's my interpretation of we have to have a holiday because
Right.
they could. Mr. Beimler told them on Sunday, yeah, come and hear my dissertation, but we have to get back to work because even though God rested on the 7th day, we have a lot of work to do. So that's what he did. Okay.
This is his
Here's their principles, guys, and this is where we get into, they believe in God the Father, the Holy Trinity, etc. They don't believe in putting the children into schools. They took a oath of monogamy, where basically if you were husband and wife, you could not sleep with your wife for 2 years because you were in the men's dorm or the ladies' dorm. At the end of 2 years, you took a vow not to have children for 7 more years.
Oh wow.
After 7 years, you can have a child. You got to raise that child till he was 3 years old, and then you put him in the boys' dormitory and the girls' dormitory. To me, and many people that come to this town, that is just a mind-blowing concept because this is supposed to be a family affair here, but yet it worked for them for 20-some years, okay? Because in that school, or in that dormitory, they went to school, they learned German, they learned English, and they learned reading, writing, arithmetic, and every chore in this village, okay? So when they graduate out of their dormitories at 13, they basically, came down and they knew everything to do in the village. Was our little communal affair doing very well? It was going pretty good. It wasn't bad, but yet at the end of 3 years of communal living, they were struggling in a way until the state of Ohio said, we see all these canals in New York State. Why don't we have a canal from Cleveland down to Portsmouth, Ohio? And sure enough, it was all approved by the state of Ohio. They came to the little town of Zoar. They had a big meeting and they asked the Zoarites, if you guys could dig out 7 miles behind our property there on the Tuscaloosa River, 7 miles, 16 feet deep and 16 feet across, 7 miles, 3 miles, and 4 miles in that direction, we'll pay you handsomely for that. And if you put in a couple of locks for the canal, we'll let you keep some of the tariff money. Mr. Beimler got all these people and says, here's our salvation. We need to do this. And they all voted, yes, we're going to do it. So basically, all the women of town and all the men, there are no steam shovels or anything like this, it's talking 1821, they started digging, okay? And they're putting the dirt away with their hose and their rakes and their shovels and all that. They're putting the dirt here. The ladies took all this dirt in these little baskets here, put it on their head, and they kept walking across here and dumping it into the area here. In 4 years' time, or 3 years' time, they have their part done and the Ohio Erie Canal opens. And people start coming down the Ohio Erie Canal. The state of Ohio says to the Zoarites, they go, you did a great job. We're going to give you $21,000. So Mr. Beimler gets 21 grand. He automatically has to go to Pittsburgh to pay off the Quakers his 15,000 back. He had about 6,000 or 7,000 left, and he starts building. Okay, starts building all this town. He knew that he had a granite area, sawmills, water mills. He started putting all this together: brewery, granary, winery, and all this, and it started to turn into a nice, great tourist town. Okay. Up the road, the people from Cleveland are coming down, and they're coming down in their horses and their carriages. I call them the Rockefellers, but they were the wealthy people. They would come down and they would go, wow, is this a great place? This is a fantastic place. Look what you did to this town. We can't just stay here a day or a week. We want to stay a couple of months or a week or whatever it takes, or a summer vacation. The people coming out on the canal boat, they had a little place called the Zoar Tavern that had just 2 bedrooms in it for the canal boat captain, okay? They put them up there, and they come, the canal boat passengers came and said, this is a nice town. You guys got all this stuff going on here. They talked them into building the Zoar Hotel.
Wow.
I say that in kind of a weird tone because it is a centerpiece of this town, but it's also part of their downfall. Because you still got people hearing the bell coming down here, getting their ticket to work, and now the Zoar Hotel was built in 1835, and the rich or the wealthy people start coming down here to stay at the Zoar Hotel. If you're a child now that just graduated from the dormitory, you're 13 or 14, and you see all the good cookies, all the good cheeses, all the good milk, all the fresh meat going to the Zoar Hotel because people are starting to pay money, okay? What do? Where do you want to work? The hotel. Every day they had 12 little boys and girls lined up at the hotel, okay? And basically they were there as, servants or maids, etc., okay? People that would clean the rooms. They were doing very well because they got to eat some of the extra cookies and all that stuff, but the Zoar people let them keep their tips. And when you keep your tips, what's worse than an adult with money in his pocket? A teenager with money in his pocket.
Right.
So now all the teenagers are getting together and they're starting to say, well, we want to leave this town because we're getting schlepped around in wagons, okay, with oxen and all this. We see these beautiful carriages coming down. We see these boats coming down here. We want to leave. So they came to this house here because at that time, all the board of trustees was living in here. And they go, we want to leave. And the board of trustees goes, not happening. It can't happen. Your parents, your grandparents were put into prison for 7 years to have this way of life. And I, as a person, would say, I told my kids that I walked to school in the snow 4 miles barefoot, and they go, yeah, right. Well, but it's basically, that's what happened to the kids back then. They just want to leave. Sure, a few of them did leave, and they came back, but for the most part, that was the number one reason why this town folded in 1898, because the youngins wanted to go and explore the rest of the world, okay? I just stop at this room because one of my favorite pictures, okay? This is all the Zoarites, okay? And basically, I was telling you that they recycled everything in this town. A quick story here is, I wondered when I saw this picture, yeah, it's probably a Sunday pose picture, but why are all these guys have white long sleeve shirts on, okay? So I'm thinking to myself, something's wrong here, until I was told this is a potato-based, a turnip-based, and vegetable-based community, okay? So basically, every day they had their brewery and their bakery were potato-based beer, the bakery too. But every day, 3 women used to carry these 5-gallon pails of hot potato water from the brewery and used to throw them in the laundry there. And these people used to wash their clothes in this warm potato water, okay? And then put it into the rinse water and then in the wringer. The reason they had potato water, it kills the kids, is because they had starch for their shirts.
That's
Now,
what I thought, yeah.
I was telling that story when I had the Ohio National Guard here, and the Ohio National Guard says, "Good one, Tom," but we still use it today. It's not because of, sure, the starch. These guys didn't care about starch in their shirts. They kept the bugs off them and kept the sun off them so they wouldn't get sunburn. So that's what they use it for. But anyhow, these people here were the thrashers. They used to cut this field, or cut the hay and wheat like this. The second group of ladies were the rakers. The third group used to push them into piles, and the fourth group was called the shockers. And they put them in those nice little, haystacks, okay? And then a wagon came by and threw it all there. They can clear a field, a big, big field in a day. Just all working together like that. One guy doing this, girls are raking, people are, and that's how they work. They work together.
Mhm.
Here is an example of all their industry. Linen shop, tin shop, leather shop, cider mill, furniture, iron. You're here in the middle, by the way. Pottery, flour, wool, butter and cheese, lumber. All this was here. The only raw material that they did not have, because they couldn't get a furnace hot enough, was glass. Okay? So basically they carved furniture like this, shipped it up the Ohio Area Canal to Cleveland, and bartered for glass for their windows here. Okay? Now, let's get into a little ghostly story here. Not a ghostly story, but really what happened. It's August of 1834. Ohio Riverboat Canal, his name is George, comes down the Ohio Canal, okay? He is deathly sick. The Zoarites, the hotel was not going to be built was not going to be open until 1835. So the Zoarites took this riverboat captain into the Zoar Tavern. And put him,
What is that? Oh, that scared me.
I'll tell you when I stay here what happened to me. But anyhow, this riverboat captain, and he passed away in the night. He had nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, lost all his electrolytes. He was so weak, he just died. The Zoarites sent a message up the Ohio Area Canal to his family saying, "I'm sorry, but George passed away," and they buried him in the Zoar Cemetery about a mile and a half up the road. Okay? Legacy goes, or story goes, 2 or 3 weeks later, a lady comes down the Ohio Area Canal, okay, and she goes, "Was there a canal boat captain here? His name was George." And they says, "Yes, we sent notice up the river that he was passed away." She says, "Well, we have to dig him up." The Zoar men said, "We're not going to do it. It's against our religion. Why do you want to dig this man up?" And she says, "Because in his clothes, his shirt, is our gold jewelry, our important papers, and some cash." And they go, "We're not going to do it." She went to Canton and hired 3 men to come down here to dig him up. By that time, when she came back, it was 4 weeks later, the Zoarite men says, "Okay, we're going to show you where the grave is, but we're not going to dig him up because we don't want you wrecking our cemetery." They showed him up. Sure enough, they dug this man up at the end of 4 weeks in the middle of August, okay? They dig him up, and sure enough, in his clothes, papers, jewelry, gold, and money. So no one robbed it. She was so grateful, she left a $50 tip to the city of Zoar for allowing them to exhume the body. They reburied him. She went up to Cleveland. The story goes that 2 weeks later, all the men from Canton and the 3 men from Zoar and her were all dead. Okay, they all passed away. That was the marking point of the cholera epidemic that hit here. Now, when I say marking point is, we know that cholera that they did have here is not passed from person to person, okay? But because all these people died, people started dropping due to an actual cholera epidemic here. They lost 1/3 of the town. 150 people, they lost 52 people, okay? Everybody in that house here, and everybody that lived across the street lost at least 1 or 2 people, okay, in this cholera epidemic. It got so bad that September of 1834, the woodmaker and the blacksmith could not keep up making caskets and nails for the caskets. So they took these people and they went to the cemetery and they built a big trench and they put the people in there. They covered it up and they called that God's Acre. And you can still see it to this day. My theory, and this is Tom's theory, is the fact that this cholera epidemic basically started in August of 1834. By the end of October, it was gone because the first frost killed a lot of the cholera germs. How do they combat the cholera epidemic? They called all the physicians that they could. What's happened? They go, the physician says, "Don't drink the water." Because we know cholera is basically contaminated water. They were drinking the water by the dairy. There was a natural spring. One lady said to herself, I'm going to go up to this bakery up the hill and I'll start drinking there. She did not get sick. She got well. The whole town moved to drink their water up there, and they had their beer, okay? They drank beer, they drank water, and they got well. They come to find out that where we were, the spring house and all that, that was contaminated water from the cows. And so that was caused the cholera epidemic. But imagine, now you got your horror stories or your ghost stories because every house in this village had 1 or 2 people just die in the prime of their life. They work the fields and they would just pass away. Interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the truth. Okay, guys, I'll start to do it one more time. My story is 3 weeks ago I was allowed to sleep here. Okay, and I had this paranormal group from West Virginia. And I'm just walking around here and I see all these people walking in the house and they're doing their EVP meters and their red lights and their black lights and all this. And they're divining rods. They were here till 1 o'clock. At about midnight, I'm walking through the hall and these 2 ladies are coming down the hall here that we're going to go through. And they're talking to somebody. I know they're talking to themselves. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
Because one time I told a ghost story and they go, we're here for serious ghosts. So I just stopped it, So they're going back and forth and they're talking to somebody. 1 o'clock turns around and I go, gals, is there anything I should know? Because I'll be sleeping here in an hour. And they go, the room down the hall is haunted. And I go, why? She goes, didn't you hear us talking? I go, yes, I did, but I had no clue what you were talking about. There's a lady in a mirror there who's stuck in the mirror, and they're telling me this story. And I said, elaborate, please, because I'm sleeping there. And they said they were talking to this lady ghost in the mirror there, and I'm thinking to myself, I've been in the house for 4 years. I don't even know there's a mirror in this whole house. They said she's stuck in the mirror, and she's told us that when we asked her what her name was and all this, she says she used to live here or got dressed here very often. Okay? And when she got dressed here, she didn't like people watching her get dressed because of modesty. So basically she did not care for that and she would be very irksome to the people that were in the house. So basically she's now stuck in the mirror. So we'll go down there. Now, they all leave. I'm by myself. These lights are down. It's pitch black in this house. I come down here. And we're going to enter this one. And we're going to tour these other rooms too, but anyhow. I come here and they go to the last room, I go, oh my God, there's the mirror. So, yours truly says, if I'm sleeping here, I gotta make sure that there's nothing in here. So I walk around here, I don't have a light because it's pitch black. And I go, okay, Tom, just do it, see what you see. And I hit the mirror there, and there was nothing there. I said, thank God. But that's where this is where this Paranormal Society said the most action in the house was in this room. So I went upstairs to sleep. But I did not know, so anybody I'd taken here, I let them look in the mirror, but no one see anything yet, but who knows. But yet they told me, and they told me the story, and I'm thinking, okay, but that does make a little sense.
Whoa. Foot was showing up. Look at my camera. There's something.
It happens.
You can see something for me. See it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered where the lock was. I see it.
Okay.
Okay, we're coming in. Where are you at?
And then we saw it here, and the last time we saw it was here. And I never moved. I was standing in the same exact spot.
I can wait.
I'll just real quick here because I don't want to get too dark. But anyhow, I call this the roughest room. As you can see, guys, they had the bands here, ice cream socials. Everybody came from all over Ohio, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania to come to this town because it was such a great town, okay? Great tourist trap. They actually built rowboats, canoes, okay? Things like that to do on the Tuscarawas River. When the Tuscarawas River froze, they had ice skating, okay? They had baby carriages, okay? Sled rides, etc. one of the best pictures that I find in this house, and this goes to the picture that that guy took that shows you the ghost stuff. Okay? Which, if you want me to send you the pictures, I have them on my
Yes.
phone.
Yep.
This here, the girls of the town before they were 13, okay, their chore of the day was to take all the little babies, okay, and walk them in carriages like this, so they got their exercise and the babies got their air, okay? You are in this house, and you are in this room right here. That's the room, okay? Now, when I saw that picture, it looks like there's two little girls walking down here. That's what they used to do. They call this the parade of the babies back and forth. Okay, they did it every day.
Okay.
And basically, I couldn't,
That's,
from
yeah.
that picture. Kind of,
If you look at that picture, I could tell it does match right
yeah,
there.
it just
Those two
kind of
girls
close.
right
You know,
there.
you never
Yeah.
know. But now the picture I'll show you when we get out of here. It was taken right across the street. But again, that's where they used to walk up and down the street. So
Oh, wow.
who knows? Okie dokie, school desk. Now, let's talk a little bit about the dormitory. Reason number 2 why this town folded, okay, or broke up, the dormitories. Like I said, you got to raise your child till they were 3, you put them in a dormitory, they were 13, you saw them once or twice a month, okay, your family together, and then you had to work. That was the thing. Until 20 years ago, one of the people, let me go back to number 1. This house here was built in 1834. It was built as a nursing home for the elderly, okay? Because it started in 1817, 30 years later, basically people were getting older, so they built this as a nursing home for their elderly. The elderly came through that front door, came through the back door, and they took one look around this beautiful place and says, we don't like it. We don't want to be here. And when they asked why, they said it looks too much like an institution and it looks too much like a hospital of its day. So the elderly all had a vote because every person in this town got the right to vote, and they voted to go live with their families across the street, okay? And now they had this big house here. The whole town took a vote and asked Mr. Bymiller and his board of directors or the board of trustees to move in here. And that's why this became known as the number 1 house or the palace, because this was the board of trustees. Move forward now. 20 years into the dormitory life, one of the trustees had a big meeting with all the Zoarite community and says, you know what, my daughter is turning 3 years old and I'm not going to put them in the dormitory. And the people of the town went, wait a second here, you made this rule up 20 years ago and now just on a whim you're not going to take your daughter there? And sure enough, he goes, nope. So there you start to see a split between the people living in this house and all the regular people in Zoar. And that's what happened, you know. So basically that was reason number 2. Here is the bell, by the way, that they rang. Okay? They didn't have a sheriff, they didn't have a jail, but they did have that little lamp over there. And 2 men took 4-hour shifts every night, walking around the town with that kerosene lamp there, and they would just make sure everything was okay. Now, this town got so big that they had to hire a lot of people from Canton to come down and work the farm, okay, work the farms and all that. So once in a while they did build one little shack. It was a little drunk cell because if people drank their beer, and if they were drunk, they put them into the hoosgow, so to speak. Okay. Reason number 3. The world is coming to Zoar, okay? The world comes to Zoar, and again, a lot of wealthy people came from Cleveland. There was this one man named Alexander Gunn. He made a fortune in Cleveland in the hardware business, okay? Hardware, tool and die, etc. He fell in love with this town. Fell in love with the town. He says, I would like to live here. I'd give anything to live here. So he comes here. This is him, but that's where he was. He comes here and he asks the board of trustees if he can live here. Now, it's a communal town. So the board of trustees says, yeah, you can have the second floor that will go to his rooms on the hotel. You can live there. Because he wasn't going to cook for himself, so he ate at the hotel. He did all this. After 2 years, guys, he comes down to this, again, this board of directors says, sell me a piece of property. Now, during those 2 years he was living in a hotel, he would not talk to any Zoarite regular member. He would only talk to the board of trustees because he thought they were a little bit above where his station was. All the people that lived in town, they were below his class, okay? The people in town put up with him living in a hotel because he did bring a lot of wealthy people, brought the governors, brought President McKinley down. So basically it was, a happening thing. So they sold him a piece of land called the Hermitage. And this is a picture of him gardening in the Hermitage. He starts living in the Hermitage, and the regular Zoarite people go, wait a second. They run down to the board of trustees and they go, who is this guy and why did you sell him a piece of land? Number one, it's our land. It's a Zoar communal association. No one asked us to vote, okay? You sold it to an outsider. You sold it to somebody who's not even in our faith, okay? So what did you do this for? And there you saw the big break. And within 5 years, this town was no longer because they just couldn't trust what was happening here. The other big reason was all this commerce was going on, all this stuff was going on. The Zoar elders did not believe in plowing their profits into technology. They were still doing things the old-fashioned way, but it just couldn't keep up with technology, so they kept falling behind, and they could not have the output. So basically in 1898, everybody voted and says, we're out of here. So they just kept the company.
Well, I did feel the coldness over here.
Right there is a birdhouse made out of wood.
Oh, wow.
These people here were the greatest wood carvers, okay? I mean, just amazing what they did here. But again, just kind of a little room of basically when the Ohio Historical Association came into town here in the 1920s and took over the town. And that's basically what's going on there.
The town. I want to get a picture of this. I want a picture of this. Can you get me a picture of this?
You got, by the way, you are right here.
I like things like this. Now, what's this?
And
Okay.
And that's a baseball field.
It is, it's currently a baseball field, but they have one, okay? Because again, playground of the wealthy and the rich, back in the 1860s and 1870s. So I mean, they had a couple of games here.
I did feel a coldness at that doorway. I don't know if it was a breeze coming in from somewhere.
Well, I'm higher than heck, so if it was a cold breeze and you felt it, these windows are all shut, so who knows?
Yeah. So.
I'll take you guys up to my sleeping quarters and I'll show you what happened there. This is a picture, by the way, of the very first lady that was born in Zoar. So she's got some status, so to speak. This is Mr. Bymiller's bedroom, okay? And guys, remember that I told you about no chimney or no fireplaces? Okay, what they basically put in here was these things. When they built this for the elderly, these are called niches, okay? And basically, on the other side of here was what they had, a wood-burning stove. And every night, little boys used to come with wood and just walk the halls and put wood in here to keep them warm. Okay?
Oh.
Now, they're on this side of the house because that's where the elderly were going to sleep. Mr. Beimler and his family took this side of the house because he had a PERC, automatic thermostats. This here, guys, is Lillian Beimler's sitting room that we were in the Beimler house. This is her sitting room, okay? That's a picture of her and a picture of her husband. And she was sitting there in the Beimler house and she'd say, I'm the matron of this town. I want to make sure it works. If you can imagine, yeah, that's a sewing room. This is next to it too. If you can imagine, this house was empty in the 1930s. Everybody from the town had all their parents living in their homes, so they all donated all these antiques. So these are the real antiques. But this is some of the furniture that the town built, okay, for everybody. Again, you didn't have to buy your own beds. You didn't buy beds. You didn't buy linens. Everything was given to you because you were part of the Zoar community. Just another. Here's their sewing room, sewing area, and all that. So.
Look at them lights.
Yeah, it's the light it up so you
Those
see
are
it.
our lights.
Right. So you can see their display.
You know, I come to think about it, I've never seen those lights. Now, I call this the music room. This is a organ, obviously, okay? Built at the watermill by the guy that ran the watermill. He played it every day at the watermill because it ran on water power.
Oh wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
I mean, I think, okay.
Does it
he,
work?
It doesn't work anymore. He passed away. It went to the church for a couple of months because the church has an organ like 5 times the size of this. And how it got here by the House Service Association, I don't want to know. Okay? Now, a little story here is we had ghost tours with the kids. And basically, when they're down on the first floor, they could hear notes being played out of here. So I come running upstairs going, no.
What was that?
And these are all sound. They basically sound.
Did you hear that too?
I don't know what that was. I just heard something over here.
Oh wow, that's crazy. That is so cool.
But again, little pianos and here's some trumpets and things like that they played here.
That's a tuba, an old tuba, and that's a.
Yep.
That looks like it was either.
I don't think
Looks.
That looks more like a trombone.
kind of, yeah.
It's like a trombone and a trumpet mix.
Yeah. What's this? Bassoon, probably.
Yeah.
Don't know who this guy is. Scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, that is creepy.
He kind of looks like this guy, if you look at him.
Yeah. That one's even creepier, I think.
Upstairs is closed. On the third floor of this place is closed.
Right here.
He spent the night.
Sorry.
Right in here. I put my bed down here, and as you can tell, it's totally pitched because I didn't have any lights. And as I moved, I thought I heard footsteps, but I'm thinking to myself, it's got to be me moving. So I laid down here, and that's when my eyes, my ears just played tricks out there, getting me in for this because I heard everything else. When that sunrise came up at 6 o'clock, I was out the door. that was my point.
This is the gentleman we're going to do the hotel with.
Yes.
He's going to do the hotel.
Okay.
Now, I came up, he was
Real
standing
quickly here.
right in
These are the dormitory beds. That's the girls' bed. That's the boys' bed. See the gate on there to keep the boys inside the bed?
Okay, yeah.
Now, when we talk about furniture, when we go back there, I'll tell you how they made furniture. But notice the furniture. Look at that, where that basin is. See what that is? That's kind of like standard stuff that they made. Okay, as compared to this. This is what they traded up the river. Okay, this is how they traded and bartered. They built furniture to go up north, and they made furniture that was basic for here.
Oh wow.
Look at that brush. Look at the brush over there.
Yes, their shoe cleaner. So what's up with all the hats?
Right.
There's a hat there.
There's hats everywhere.
There's like hats
Oh,
everywhere.
yeah, there's, you think these are Amish hats or not? They're actually Zoar hats, and basically they were made, handmade, straw, but there was a few of them all over the place, but that's what they always wore the hat with the, with their white shirts, things like this. If you want to see what the girls wore, they're in this room.
Ah. Please.
Huh? Oh, there's a man up there.
Yeah.
That's what they wore, that's probably some of the best. Again, another bed, nice furniture again, okay? But this is what they did for furniture.
Oh wow.
Look behind you.
Look at
That up there,
that.
guys, is ventilation. Needless
Yeah.
to say, that's their own ventilation system.
Oh wow.
I saw one over here. I was feeling
Yeah.
air and I found that. I was like, well, that's where that's coming
I'm just
from.
amazed that these guys carved these doors. These are just doors. They made them so inlaid and so beautiful that, and this is all original. Take it down to my next ghost story. So, 5 years ago, I'm learning number one house from 2 elderly ladies in the village. And I come down here, And I go, ladies, what's down here? And they go, okay, well, you can go down there. So we're gonna go down.
Oh, God.
Goes, I'm coming down the steps, and notice how cool it gets when you get down there. Again, this is an example of their root cellar. Every big house had a root cellar like this. Once a week, a wagon used to pull up, they used to open these things, and all the turnips, potatoes, their vegetables used to fall in here. The ladies of the house, because there were about 20 to 24 people that lived in this house, they would come down here and sort all their vegetables into these shelving units, okay? Now, I'm standing,
That's me. I don't know what it was.
I'm standing here. The two elderly ladies who were showing me the house, because I had to learn the house in order to guide the house, they're standing up there at the top of the steps, and I'm standing right here. And I go, are you gonna come down and show me anything? And they go, as far as we go, Tom. And I says, why is that? Because they said 2 years previous, they were coming, they were locking up the house, because we have to lock up the house at 6 o'clock. And Bev knows my story. They were locking up the house, and they saw a gentleman standing right here, dressed in Zoar clothes, and I don't have my Zoar, but a white shirt, pants, etc. And they said, sir, you have to leave now because we're locking up the house. And they swear on a stack of Bibles that as soon as that apparition or this person, me, heard them say that, he vaporized and went out this window. And they swear by it. They swear by these two ladies. Now, last year, I'm in my house all by myself. I'm going to open this house and close the door and all that. I come down here, I stand right here, and I go, give it a shot. So I just say out in a loud voice, I go, if there's anybody here that I need to know about, say something or forever hold your peace. And God, on my father's grave, I hear this kaboom on the first floor, and I was out that door and gone. It scared me. Now, last year when we did ghost tours, Tammy, okay, and Chris, they put up a little fog machine, and they did not tell me about it. So I'm taking people down here to tell me about this story, and I must have tripped a wire, and this big poof of smoke goes there. I go, son, this scared me. But basically in here is, again, part of their basement, they kept their beer in here, their wine, etc. But again, every big home had a cellar like this, a root cellar, and basically that's what they kept. They come down here to feed themselves, and we're going to go into the kitchen. See that?
He was filming, and it scared him. And I was trying to, you could hear the voices, and I was trying to make out what they were saying, but I've decided it was in German, so I couldn't understand. But he was afraid right now. Started to go down the steps, stopped, and I looked at him and I said, you know you're heading right toward him? He stops right now.
Wow.
Because there's the window where the ghost came out of. But West Virginia Paranormal Society found that this was the most active building. This magazine. But on the history note of things, this is the magazine, not for guns or weapons. This is a storehouse. Okay. Okay. Again, the magazine for the whole village. Once a week, everybody used to come. Everybody in the houses used to come to that doorway that you just walked in. There'd be a person here that would meet them and say, what house you in? They would go 2, 4, 6, 8, or 10. They would let the people come into here, and here's where they gave everybody in the house, this was all house numbered, you got your coffee, you got your sugar, you got all the stuff that had to be imported from the canal. So they kept it all here, and then you walk right out that door, and that's where you go. You could have got your yarn, some extra yarn and things like that here if you needed it, and you got your supply of butter. Okay? So this is just kind of like the storage house for the group. One story that of one guy basically had a tour, that he was doing a tour. It wasn't a ghost tour or anything, and he kept noticing out that window that there was something outside that window while I had people here. And he said, excuse me. He went outside, looked around, didn't see anything. He comes back here, and there was a face against the window. And the 3 people that he was with swear by that too. So who knows, you know?
Right.
But they say this was the most, you know, active house. Now upstairs, guys, because they did not have pig, they did not have pork, because they wouldn't, it was against their religion to eat pork until 1890 when the hotel finally demanded it. They brought pigs in. They had sheep, but you wouldn't want to eat your cow because the cow provided milk. You would not eat your chickens because your chickens ate eggs. So what they do upstairs, they have a big pigeon coop.
Oh.
All the pigeons are upstairs, okay? Right now, if we went up there, you'd fall through the floor. But they had pigeons, that's what they use for protein. So on Sundays, they have a chicken dinner, they have a pigeon dinner.
Oh, wow.
So you came and claimed your pigeon. Butter. Basically here, guys, they used to run the sheep or the, I forget what they called it, thrashing, but basically it would take some of their grain or some of their wheat or something, and they would run it through here, and then they run it on the, through here, and then do the spinning wheel.
Oh, wow.
And then the sheep with the, I forgot the name of this product, but that's what they ran through. And that's what they did to make their clothes. And the wool from the sheep. Guys, this is their restroom. Men's room, ladies' room.
Wow.
For the #1 house. I'm not gonna call it indoor plumbing, it was just the restroom.
So how would they get rid of the waste that was
Oh,
there?
it's under, behind
Probably,
here, they had a trench.
Oh, okay.
Just like an outhouse.
Yep.
But it's an indoor house.
Yeah.
This is the dining room, okay? They would start eating at 4:30. That's in the kitchen back there, but the dining room just basically sat everybody in this house. All the houses had a kitchen. There were about 4 or 5 kitchens in this whole village. And basically they used their vegetables and some meats and all that, and they made stews. Because the ladies had to go work the field, so they just had one matron or one cook constantly making a stew. So they had a lot of stews, a lot of hearty stews for them. This is Mr. Miller's table, okay? This was hops. They grew hops near the bakery, okay? But their hops plants was one of the things that the under 13-year-old kids had to do, because they had to separate hops for the bakery and the brewery. So the kids basically were put the word sorting hops. Miller sat here. The rest of the family sat here. I am told that a lot of this is original dinnerware, but those are just reproductions of their basins. This is an example of the stove I was talking about. The kids used to come through and put the wood through the stove here. Used to go through that ventilation system. You actually, they patented this called a Zoar stove. They patented this because they actually put the water in here to keep it nice and warm.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, they had, good little things. Okay. This is their kitchen. The reason it's closed is that just fell 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
So, but basically they had a water supply, they had a natural spring there, they used to put the water, bring it up here to boil, they would put wood through the stove there, they'd start a fire and move the wood back, and here, hotter, cooler, okay? And this is where they had the big kettles like that, and they made all the soups, stews, and things like that, okay? One thing I am told, and I'm told this, every man, woman, and child in this village was guaranteed 100 heads of cabbage.
Oh, wow.
Because as you can see, they still have it there. Here's their cabbage maker, okay? And their cabbage, they must have moved, here, their cabbage makers and all this, because they were, German coleslaw was big, okay? So everybody had German coleslaw every day. That was their typical salad of the day. They made it in mass production. That there is what the children in the dormitories made. Basically, they used to wrap the little soaps and the little spices and the little perfumes for everybody in the village once a week. Everybody came to, when they were getting their food or their stock over there, they come here and they say, what house you in? They were handed their bar of soap, okay, and they're handed their perfumes or whatever, and that's what they used. They only use that to wash their face. And if they used that soap up and over a week for their whole family, they were scolded.
Oh, wow.
But you can't use, you know, soap is expensive, I guess, so
Yeah.
that's what they used.
Yeah, I read they had actually 2 different soaps. One for the face and one for the body.
Right,
And you couldn't use one for the other.
exactly.
Oh, wow.
Kind of could. Well, here's the, because they moved this all around because it was all there. So basically, here's another cabbage maker, etc. But that's what we got. 1861, if you know the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln institutes a draft. All eligible boys had to report to the Union Army as draftees, unless you paid the federal government $200 to get a substitute. When the 12 boys down in this town were ready for the draft, the Zoar trustees in this building sent $200 for each boy to get out of the draft. Okay? Now, 12 boys are up at the general store near the hotel, and they're thinking, we need to get out of town. You know, this is a chance to get out of town. So they come down to the #1 house here and they talk to the board of trustees and they go, we would like to join the Union Army and fight. And the board of trustees goes crazy because they go, your grandparents were put in prison against our religion. You cannot pick up a weapon. You cannot fight another human being. You can't do it. The 12 boys went back up the hill and they says, we need a better plan, guys. So they come up with this plan. They come back down here and they go, okay, we know it's against our religion, but what's worse, breaking our religion or slavery? And they had them over a barrel. So after much talking back and forth, the board of trustees decided to give them $2 to join a Union regiment, a German regiment in Marion, Ohio. Okay, they trained in Marion, Ohio. July 1st, 1863, 12 boys marched to Pennsylvania, to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, fought in the Battle of Gettysburg. 3 days later, 12 boys returned. Blows my mind because your chances of living through Gettysburg are like 1 in 2.
Yeah.
Granted, one boy was captured by the South and sent to Andersonville prison, and he made it back. 4 medals of honor were issued to these 12 boys, but basically that's how they did it. Okay. How did
Gettysburg was the bloodiest battle within the Civil War.
Exactly. Now, how did it kind of add to the deterioration of the town? It's 1890 now. Okay. The people of Zoar want to get back to their roots, and they want to get back to their religion, that they want to be peaceful and all this. And they go, wait a second, we sent 12 boys to the Union Army to fight. That's against our religion. So they went back and they found out that the board of directors gave those boys $2 apiece to join the army. And with that, 2 years later, they split up. That was basically the fourth and final straw that the Zoarite says, well, what's going on here? We can't even get back to our religion, let alone what we're doing. So that's what happened. That Fort Lawrence is 2 miles up the river, or up the street here. Big fort. They decommissioned the fort right after the American Revolution in 1790. They took all that wood and put it in the piles. My theory is, these guys, they didn't know how to chop, Zoarites didn't know how to chop down trees, they just went up the road there and took some of the wood. So some of this could be from the American fort. My thing. Everybody in town tells me, all my fellow guys go, no, they were too honest to do that. I'm going, there was wood there.
Right, right.
A couple of my stories that I do tell people, the Ohio Erie Canal is right back there. A couple of accidents happened, okay? And I tell the kids on the ghost stories because I can have school groups here, and the kids, all they want to hear about is ghost stories. So I looked it up, and there's a couple of stories that are kind of cool. There was 3 boys and 2 girls rowboating on the Tuscarawas River. And the boys wanted to go see the girls, so they're trying to, they were in a canoe, the girls were in a rowboat. The boys bought flowers, and they were trying to lean over the canoe to hand the flowers to the girls, and they tipped the canoe, and the boys drowned, and they were found 2 miles, true story, they were found 2 miles up the river, okay, so they all died. Ghost story is that they can still hear children playing on the river to this day when it happened in August of 1860 something, okay? That's the story. My theory is I tell the little boys and girls, if you're trying to date somebody and you want to give them flowers, give it to them on land. Don't give them to them on the river.
Wow.
You're crazy. Now, $1899. Remember Mr. Gunn, the millionaire? He gets President or Governor McKinley to come down. Now, could you imagine if the President McKinley or the President of the United States is coming to Zoar? It's a big thing, you know. The whole community. He would get off at the top of the hill there, off the train, and walk into town. This is the President. He didn't stay here once. He stayed here 4 or 5 times. He loved this town too, the President. What he did is this, and what we have. This suite of rooms is right there. That's the suite of rooms. Now, when you get in here, guys, you're going to be upset in the fact that this hotel is totally gutted, okay? Basically, it was bought, it was in 1970, they closed the restaurant area. 1980, 90, they closed the restaurant. They closed it. It was then a person, a private developer bought it, and he says, I'm going to make a boutique shops, and a couple office buildings and all that. It'll be cool. He kept putting money into it. After so much money, he just says, I'm done. And he left it as this. The Ohio Historical Association basically took it over, and they haven't done much to it, but this is the centerpiece of the town. This is where, how I thought the town basically fell apart, because the kids wanted to work here. They was all lined up here, and you'll see on pictures of Zoar, everybody's coming. Everybody from Cleveland came. As a matter of fact, they added on to the hotel. They built a Victorian-looking hotel that had 96 rooms right here. After 30 years or 40 years, they tore it down because it leaked from the very beginning. And it was not built by Zoarites, it was built by people in Cleveland, because this town was so good, so prosperous, the Zoarites couldn't keep up with it. They contracted it, but this hotel built by the Zoarites made it, okay? As a matter of fact, this was just put up 3 weeks ago.
This is our guide top.
In 2021, we just had a dedication to the Zoar Hotel. At least we got notice now it's an Ohio Historic Marker. There's about 6 in the town. They just put this up, and I'm praying that they at least put a coat of paint on this puppy and just start to fix it. Bev and I love the hotel so much, okay, because we're doing the last tours and the last ghost tours in here, that we would just like to see them fix up one room. It's how it looked back in the day, and we could take people up and around. But I'll show you why we stopped the hotel tours. As we walk in.
There you go.
This is the entrance to the hotel. You will see pictures, because Zoar has some pictures. They used to have the welcome desk right there, okay? Now, if you guys notice, when I first was working here giving hotel tours 5 years ago, that main stud was straight.
Oh, wow.
See it now?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So, when Bev and I asked if we could still do tours, we had to go to the city council. And we have a lot of lawyers in the city council, and said, Tom, we don't care if you make people sign a waiver that they won't sue. If somebody falls through that floor, they're going to sue you. So I go, okay, no more tours. You know, but
Right.
that's what's happening here. Basically, guys, this is the first room. This was basically after the hotel closed. This was the restaurant. Okay, it went all the way back, and they had decent. If I were to call this a Michelin rating, they probably had 1 star. Everybody came here to eat from all over New Philadelphia to over. This was the best Amish food around. You know, sausage, all German food. And that closed.
We're gonna have to do a session here because the ghost was There's a ghost for like doing that.
Yeah. He had a blurry spot on his camera right when he was right here. When he was right here, it was all blurry right there.
Oh, we're going up. We're heading up.
All right.
But right here is where we want to do one
Oh,
session.
before I go, let's go around to the first floor. I'm not sure there's a couple of rooms. Now, this is how this guy left it. And again, but notice the building. I mean, look at all the stuff that they stuck on there. That was the best insulation available. Here's a door, but Here's some of the guest rooms, and we'll see them on the second floor when we get up there, but there was some of the guest rooms that they built, okay?
Oh, wow. I need a peek in there.
$1833. Very good. Please watch your step. This door goes into the kitchen in the back room, okay? And then people say, what's this go to? This is the kitchen, the thing is closed now. But here is our second floor. Now, this room here, please watch it. Now, the floor's stable here. When we go that way, I'm gonna show you how the guys get through the cloud. This was President McKinley's suite, okay? So basically, we would like to see, just like to bring this up to what it was when the president slept here, you know, and have people come up the stairway.
The president's up to you guys.
Okay. Here's another one of my pet peeves. Maybe if you YouTube this. See the windows? I mean, see the air coming through here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get one good wind. We're gonna lose all these windows. And the House Story Association goes, oh, we should have done all this. My suggestion was to Tammy, because Bev and I are constantly pounding her, that we want to see this place restored. Just put some of that stuff you see on TV, just seal it so this whole thing doesn't blow up, you know?
Right, right.
So,
Look at that. What's that?
That's ventilation.
Yeah.
now Bev did say there's a bat in here, but be careful. Okay, President McKinley, one story with him. He come down here for his fourth time, it's 1902, okay? He comes down to Zoar, the people just get everything all laid out really nice for him. He comes to this area here, they have a table for him and his entourage for 13. President McKinley looks at the table settings, he goes, I can't eat here. And they go, why? He goes, change the table settings. So they made it 4, 4, and 3, or 4, 4, and 5, okay? And so he came at 8. But the people noticed, and this is, how can I say it, part of a legacy or a story that you hear and hear again, has a little bit of truth in it. But the people of Zoar noticed that President McKinley would walk up and down here like in deep thought. And they thought it was because of them that he didn't like the food arrangements. But they saw he was depressed. He goes to Buffalo, New York. And what happens in Buffalo, New York to President McKinley? He gets assassinated. He gets shot and killed. The people of Zoar cheer that and they go, oh my God, it was because he was here. And so,
Oh my
so that's just a superstition or whatever, but a little bit of truth in it because he didn't like the table settings here. That's not so. I think this is the room that did not get, okay? But we're going to go back through here. We're going to take the hallway back there. This was basically the whole hotel. Up to about here. Remember I told about people from Canton, Ohio. They had to have places for the workmen that worked, so they added on all this, and you'll see the rooms here. They're really small rooms, but it was just a place to crash for people from Canton. Now please watch your step here, guys, because these are the rooms. Now, I'm going to go back to President McKinley because this is a Bev story and a my story too. Lily and Ruth, remember Miller? Mary Ruth ran the hotel. They say that President McKinley had a mistress. He used to bring his train and used to be off of the Swift track up at Zoar. They say, again, superstition, that he left his wife in the train. He used to come in and meet his mistress here. Okay? Now you're talking about a very religious society. There was a painting downstairs when we walked in, okay? And Mary Ruth did not like this lady who came here, and I don't know if she met the president, it's all superstition, all that, but she kept taking that painting and turning it against the wall, okay, because she didn't like her because she was a fallen woman, in her opinion. She would take it off the wall and hang it someplace else. But once a week, that painting would come back, spun around. And so they swear that that's the ghost of whatever happened after President McKinley died. It used to come back and spin around. And she hated that thing. So they actually found a picture of it, and it's in the general store. But I asked about it today, and they said they can't find it for me to show you. And it wasn't the best looking picture of a lady. It was
Oh, wow.
because the picture also showed her with her dress above her ankle, and that did not like Mary Ruth didn't like that. Okay.
These doors, they wood carvings.
This is a door that basically leads to a small veranda. Now, on the outside here, when we see the outside, basically they used to play croquet, badminton, things like that. The Zoarites were not allowed to play cards if anybody was against their religion, but they could play croquet, but no money.
Oh, wow.
So that's what it is. That's the door now that goes basically right out to the steps. But we're headed into the back room here. Watch your step. But again, see how small these rooms in here? They may have had 3 men crashing in here or just sleeping in here. Okay.
That's rat house.
What I wanted to show you here is they were known for what they called nogging. And nogging was basically, in order to insulate their building, guys, they used to put the brick up, okay, and then they threw up dirt, straw, cement, and they threw it up there, and then they would plaster the wall, and that's how they kept this place nicely warm in the winter, kept the windows open in the summer, and that's how they got their air. But it was a nice little cozy place. Again, another bigger room, okay, you might want to call this a suite, but again, it's just amazing.
Oh, I'm getting dead birds.
Yeah.
A dead rat.
Unfortunately, birds and bad.
Yep. I love how they put the windows above the door.
Yeah. Again, the craftsmanship is amazing, you know. And to see all this is, you know, they had to nail all, I mean, these are their little, you know, studs or whatever, you know.
The slats, that's how they
slats.
insulated.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to the front. Watch your step again. Bev and I will tell you a story too about the doll. That's the door she knocked down. Again, another little. You know how they have hotels in the good hotels? People would meet here and they would have little sofas and all. This is their meeting place. But there was a couple of dolls here that Mary Ruth liked. Okay. And basically, the doll was at the top of the steps, and it went to the bottom of the steps overnight, and that scared the heck out of them. So again, she took it to the top of the steps and she told every person that worked in here, that doll does not move. And they all swore they didn't do it. The next morning, it was at the bottom of the steps with the back turned against the wall. And they go, we don't know how that happened.
Wow.
They say, and if you guys think that's a door, maybe, maybe not. They say that there was a walkway across here to the Zoar store, because the Zoar store used to be the supply depot for the hotel. That's not a door. That was actually a widow's walk entrance, okay? Back in the day, when Alexander Gunn lived here, he'd have his cronies. All the wealthy men used to come from Cleveland. And they'd get out the widow's walk here, and they would smoke cigars
Oh, wow.
on a shingled roof. And some guy was flicking his ashes, and it almost started a fire. And with that, the Zoarites then took the whole widow's walk down. You know, the widow's walk that people, and they sealed that door, because you're going to burn down a hotel with these people that didn't have any regard.
Right.
Look at the old wallpaper, guys.
And again, more rooms, but again, Like I say, it's just spooky here. That's why we want to stay. But Chris and Tammy say, Tom, you're not going to stay here on no cushions.
Right.
We don't know what's walking around. So basically I told Bev, I have 2 nice lawn chairs. You take that side hotel, I'll take this side, and we'll just talk back and forth all night. Sometime in the fall when it's cooler, because now it's just burning.
It's hot.
Okay? So this is the hotel. Let's go up to Mr. Gunn's quarters.
Oh wow, you get to go clear up there. Guys, you know I don't like those
Steps
doors.
again.
I don't really like them either, so. Got one behind you.
Oh wow, look at that.
Okay.
That's so cool. You're okay. You're fine.
This is basically where Mr. Gunn lived, okay? He had this whole floor. His bedroom, his storage area and all that, where he ate, etc. Before Mr. Gunn and after Mr. Gunn took the Hermitage over, they sent all the barmaids, the maids and all that. They lived up here. The girls lived up here, the boys lived downstairs. This is kind of funny. They had this lock here, so the boys wouldn't bother the girls. All you gotta do is put your hand there. But they trusted him. Anywho. All kind of original here. Now the guy didn't really bust this up, but it looks, he tried to do his best by redoing it, but that's how I left it.
Oh wow.
I know. Kind of spooky. And a few people did pass away in this hotel. So,
Okay.
again, were they older or whatever? But my thing is, during the cholera epidemic, this was not being used. But when you take a soul away from its life like that, with the cholera, where's the spirit going to go? That's just my own personal impression.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's climb upstairs, guys, if we can.
Again, another room.
Look at these cars. They don't handmade this stuff. They hand built this.
Are you ready to do one more floor?
Sure, go for it.
Possibly.
We're doing the gondola. Please watch your step. This is where the back, I don't, she said there was a pad here, but I don't.
Okay, we're going up this stairs.
You're going to the very tippy top.
Oh, no. I don't know if I can do this.
And it's here, you can see every direction of the village. People used to come up here and stare out the window, and you can see all 6 miles of all direction, or 2 miles in each direction of all the land that Zoar had.
Oh, you must have done bird.
Yeah. Okay. What's this? Please watch. Probably storage.
Oh wow. There's even yet more to this.
Yeah, well, that's awful. That's closed now. I wouldn't even go up there.
Yeah. Thank God. Oh wow.
Don't hold on to the rail.
Well, you know I don't like 4th floors, and we're up on the 4th floor.
If you want to go up there, go ahead. I'm not going.
I'm not.
When they told me there was a bat,
You're kind of scared.
I'll go.
go ahead.
I guess I'm calling.
I'm not. I'll stay right
Just
here.
watch yourself. Even I have never been up there, so.
Alright, you guys
I don't
have a
see
good
any
one.
bat.
They're doing a good thing.
Well, so am I, but.
There's a very tippy top, guys. I made it.
Yeah.
Clear up at the top of the hotel. The top of the gondola.
Okay, I'm going back now.
What's wrong, Dakota?
I can't do it. You fought for his guys.
Here's where it starts. This is the picture the guy took.
Oh, wow.
The one I just kind of showed you. But as you can see, that's the original. This is the original picture. That's him. He put a filter on it to get this a little bit better, and you can tell no cars, no exhaust, and basically that's how the picture. That's the one I printed, you know. But that's the original.
Oh,
Kinda
wow.
So I can send you these. I mean, you feel like, you know, I could do that. Just so you remember when we're done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We would like that.
Okie dokie.
Okay, back down from investigation and EVP session, whatever it's called, EVP session.
So what was it up there? I've never been up there.
It's not much walking room. It's
That's what they call a cupola. And the cupola, basically, there's 4 or 5 in town. That was a symbol of good luck.
I'm going down a second. You can wait.
I'd like to be up there to do an investigation myself.
You can do it yourself.
Exactly.
And here too, you can do it up here yourself, right here. But we want to do it at the beginning part before we start it off. Because that's where my camera went out of blur. And you could tell it's not my camera.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that a window?
I don't know if that's, is this a window?
Go look.
Yeah, go look.
You can see.
No, it's not a window, it's a crawl space.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's another room.
Oh, it just got blurry. My camera's blurry again. I walk forward, it gets on blurry. I walk back.
Is that dust or an orb?
It's not dust. In the door, yes, that's probably dust, but
Yeah, that was dust. That's dust.
here, I'm gonna clean off my camera again.
Well, it's not on the camera. It's flying through the air. Okay.
One more story that Bev and I both know is that when this hotel is being remodeled, 2 off-duty policemen from Boulevard were here to provide security because people were coming to take their supplies. So it was the middle of winter, and they would stay on the first floor, or I'm sorry, on the second floor here because it was kind of nicer rooms. And they all of a sudden they were doing nothing, and they said this is the easiest job ever because no one's coming to this hotel. All of a sudden one night they heard footsteps running down the steps. Okay, all the way down the steps. They heard them, and they heard the front door slam. And so these guys said, "Oh, somebody's stealing." So they went outside. There was 3 inches of snow out there, and they were looking around for footsteps. They didn't see any footsteps. But they swear that was the last night they ever provided security for this Zoar hotel.
Wow.
We also want to do one in Kennedy's room.
And if you can't believe a police officer telling you a story, I don't know. And that is the hotel.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna do the necrophonics. And I invite any spirits to
The spirit that walked into
Come
my
and-
camera earlier, can you come here and speak with us?
and hold on. We invite any spirits to come and talk to us through the Necrophonics app. You cannot follow us home, attach to any of our equipment or anything like that. And we will start now. Is there any spirits here? That was a quick yeah.
Can the lady or the man who walked in front of my camera earlier come speak with us? It says Ian. I heard Ian. Make sure that's turned up. Is your name Marianne?
No. Is your name McKinley?
Hello?
Are you President McKinley? That was a yes.
Die? Did you die?
What were you? Why did you come to Zoar every year, or 4 to 5 times, President McKinley? I heard mistress.
What?
No. Gift.
I did.
Who is she?
How many spirits are here with us?
2.
Is there always only 2 of you here in the hotel? What do you mean by almost?
Sometimes 10?
That's it. That's it. So whisper, that's it.
Stand here. Are we standing in line to wait for stuff to go work? Work. Faith.
Can we move this upstairs?
I heard go upstairs now.
We're gonna take this upstairs, okay?
Okay, we're gonna stop and go upstairs, and we'll start back up there.
Okay.
Okay, grab that.
No, he's gonna stay
No,
down
you
here.
can stay.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try.
Okay, so this is.
This is McKinley's room right here. This is the room that McKinley stayed in. And earlier, when we went through the tour, I smelled a perfume or a cologne when I was standing right here.
I can smell it. Come on here now.
And it wasn't any must, it was actual cologne.
Yeah, I can smell cologne.
Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get ready and start the necrophonics back up. And go ahead and start it back up.
We are in your room, President McKinley. Can you come talk to us?
Did you love coming to this place all the time?
What were you doing here in Zoar Village? Was it business? Or were you here to meet a mistress?
Is that you, Mr. McKinley? I heard you like to walk up and down halls and knock on a door. Can you do that for us?
Whoa. Did you feel that?
She was standing up and the whole floor shook. I was hurt shivering. And that's the guy going out to
Son?
Was your son killed here?
Mr. McKinley, if you're here, can you walk up down the hall for me?
Are you one of the Zoar lights? Did you just say yeah?
Did somebody just make a noise across the hall?
Did you hear that?
I did. Look at this. Let's keep it going. Keep it going. Okay, walk straight down the hallway.
Oh, that's a bat.
Yep, that's the bat. Came down here.
Can you close one of the doors for us?
I just saw the bat again.
Oh, stay back there, bat.
Ooh.
We'll go back over here. What would you like us to know?
Can one of you knock on something?
Did you hear that?
There's somebody across the street.
Are you sure?
Yeah, outside.
outside.
That was outside.
Can
There's
you
a lot
stand in
of
front of my camera?
holes in the side there.
I would like to take a picture. I thought we were going to go upstairs. What was his name? Mr. Gunman?
He said no.
He said, it said Mr. McKinley.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah, I heard that.
I heard German. I heard German language there.
How old are you? Was you a child? No.
Did you hear that? That could have been that bat.
Let's
Okay.
move upstairs. Here, let's stop it.
All right, you guys go ahead and go up to the
Move
third floor.
upstairs.
I am not going to the third floor.
Okay.
Back down
You
to
guys
one.
can stay in here. I can uneasy feel anyone up to the third floor.
Dolls scared to go to the third floor.
You know me. Sorry, doesn't have a name on
Be
it. Sorry.
careful.
I
Okay.
don't really like it either, but I'm still going. Let's go in his room. This was his room and everything. Let's go in here.
In here.
Yeah.
This is light.
I got my light.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
We're gonna start the necrophonics again. Is there anybody here with us?
Peter. Are you wealthy?
Yeah.
How wealthy were you?
Can you move that door? Can you do that for us? Right now? Mr. Gunn?
Are you up here cooking? We want to know that you are here.
We can leave if you want us to. Do you want us to leave?
It said leave.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and leave. We're going to stop the necrophonics. Thank you for talking to us, all of you.
We like your responses. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
We're gonna let you guys rest.
Okay, guys.
And that concludes our tour.
That's the last of our investigation. We're going to keep filming till we get back down there. Maybe we might catch something on the way down.
Especially by that door. That used to be the kitchen. It's the kitchen I was talking about earlier. Let's see here. Step. Yeah. They already told us we gotta leave. They said leave. I mean, we could,
Yeah.
but they said leave. It
So,
was Mr. Gunman himself, or whatever his name is.
yeah. It was probably just that room, but still.
We could.
So we only got like 14 minutes of investigation.
14 minutes left?
No, that's all we got was 14 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Well, we could do another one in here then.
Let's do here.
stay over here
In the
by the
dining
wall.
room?
We don't want to go any further.
Yeah.
Here,
We could tell
got the
right there.
We got right here, the bricks we can set it on.
Sorry, you guys.
Don't need to
about
sit
the
it there.
No.
We have people outside, but let's go ahead and start the necrophonics in here, see if we can catch anything in here.
Are you trapped? Why are you trapped here?
Next.
Did you die suddenly?
Yeah.
What happened? Is there something you want us to know? Yes, we know you're dead.
Are you the captain of a ship? I heard you now. Listen.
Sounded like a gunshot
That's
through the
a Clemon.
necrophonic.
It said Clemera or whatever that disease was.
Cholera.
Yeah. Clemera. Did you die of a disease?
Did you have a child that died from the disease across the street?
And that was a crying lady saying, yeah.
I heard you guys were lifers. You sound hateful of it.
Let's go
I
across.
said wait.
Wait.
Why do you want us to wait?
You can still talk to us. We're gonna leave it run. We're just gonna move across the hall.
He said, talk to me here. Here.
You want to go across the hall? No?
No?
What's in here that you want us to know about?
Can we go across the hall? No. Let's go across the hall.
Is there something over there you don't like?
Greed.
That's her mom. Was your mom evil?
Is something touching my arm right now?
Something's right there. Something's right there. It's still there. Yeah, it's touching your arm. Look at your hair. My camera. My camera. Do you want us to leave? No? What is it that you want us to know?
Do I remind you of someone?
Said 100. Did you hear? Do you want us to help you with your sickness?
Something's touching my arm. It's really cold.
It's gone. It's gone. It's touching mine. Are you touching
It's not
me?
that cold in here.
No, it's not. It's actually very hot. I feel a sudden drop in temp. Who's biting? Her? What's her name?
It's like, can you grab onto my hand?
You got cut.
You can come here and give me a hug.
Can you speak in English? Told you to shut up.
Do you
I told
want?
you to shut up, Dakota.
Do you want a hug? It's cold.
I think it's a cold Tom's.
No, it said here I come. It said here I
You're
come.
calm.
Did you get the hug you wanted? It said yeah. Yeah.
Did you just try to... It sounded like a kiss sound.
Can we leave now?
Can we go across the hall now?
I don't know.
It said set out.
Who said I don't know?
Okay, let's go ahead and go
I'm
across.
gonna go across the hall here. If you want to follow, go ahead.
Hello?
Hello.
Did you used to stay here? Mom? Did your mom own this place?
That was German. Did you hear it?
You said 9, no.
No, it didn't say. It said something else in German.
Yeah, it was a long sentence in
I heard
German.
9, too. 9 means no.
Can you stand at the doorway?
Was there a picture you hated to have hanging in here?
Do you want us to stop the necrophonics?
It said talk.
Or do you want to still talk with us?
Nursing home. Did you not want to stay at the nursing home? That's a child. You're not benevolent, are you? Alright, we're gonna call it.
Okay, thank you for talking with us.
Thank you for talking to me like you're...
When you, like I said, you cannot follow us or attach to any of our equipment.
Something's watching me. I can feel it.
And we're going to stop, and thank you for talking with us.
You cannot follow us home.
You cannot attach to me or any of my equipment.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Oh no. Yeah, we're done. I'll show you.
Bet.
Oh yeah.
It's down here.
It's down here now.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and leave now. There's a bat
Alright, you guys
flying around.
got that all through that building.
We actually caught one.
Guys, I have to ask you. Why just close that now?
Okay, everybody, hope you enjoyed that. I'd like to give a shout out to the Zoarville Historical Society. They have tours all year round and other special events that they have. Check them out. And I'd like to give shout outs to Kill Hut 702, Paranormal Mountain, and Live It Up. Like, share, and subscribe. And hit that notification bell. Thanks, everybody.